This is independent client Wright. This is video 1 of 2. We will have a second video that goes over the laundry room and the master bathroom. In this video, we will actually be going over the kitchen area and the pantry area. So these are going to be an overview of the notes. Please hit pause at any time. And right now, this is the kitchen area right here. So you can see the overall measurements of the kitchen area. This will actually be the pantry area over here. And we will also have a small butler's bar area. So we'll have some additional cabinetry in this 40.5-inch area down over here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the walls and where we are at. Right now, this is the current state of the construction as far as the progress goes. We are framed here. Everything has been demoed, so there will be no lead testing done in this home since we have nothing to demo or nothing to remove. As you can see, we do plan on the stove being centered along this wall. Now, this stove is centered in between the actual walls, not in between the cabinetry and the wall. Okay, so this stove is centered right now at about 77.5 inches from the wall. Now that is 77.5 inches, not including the 1/2-inch drywall. So we do need to account for an additional 1/2-inch drywall whenever we're looking at these particular measurements. Okay, so we do have the stove centered on this wall. They'll end up with a range hood right above it as well. Along this wall here, we do end up with the sink centered right below, as you can see, right below this center window here. That's what these orange marks are on this line over here. This will also have all cabinetry along the bottom on this wall over here. We originally were talking about doing some floating shelves on either side of the new range hood, but we will not be doing any floating shelves on this side. Instead, we will actually be doing floating shelves in this back corner, where this will become the coffee nook or the coffee area. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that the homeowner would like to keep all of her new countertops clean, so she will need a good amount of storage space. We do have a plan for a 36-inch fridge being centered right on this wall as well. The fridge is going to be centered as closely as possible to where the stove is. Now, we don't want to center the fridge exactly on the stove because that would end up looking a little off since the fridge is centered on this wall. We also have a very large island going in the center right here. I'm not sure if you could tell, but it looks like we did mark this with at least some red tape. The island may actually be getting a little bit shorter, a tad bit shorter, because we will end up with seating along this side of the island here. And we want to make sure that the refrigerator and the corner of the island do not interfere with each other. We don't want anybody standing in front of the refrigerator and bumping into the corner of the island, which is why the placement of the refrigerator ends up being right where it is. Okay, now to the left of the refrigerator, we also have a pantry area. Now this will end up being about a 42-inch wide pantry. We do have a measurement going all the way from the outside wall to the outside corner over there. And we actually end up with about 134.25 of an inch. Now, since we'll add drywall on this wall and this wall, that will be an accurate measurement. So with the drywall in, so we do end up with about 134.25 inch for the drywall. Now, from the subfloor to the bottom of the ceiling joist, we actually have about 97.5 inches. That is going to be throughout the home. And as you can note inside of these plans, the ceiling is actually plus or minus about 1/2 inch in some areas. And the flooring itself is plus or minus 1/8 of an inch in some areas. That is true for both the laundry room and the kitchen and the pantry area. So that number will stay consistent throughout these 3 areas here. One other area to note on this plan is going to be this area here, which we do plan on doing a almost like a wine bar or wet bar area over here. It'll just be a base cabinet with some upper cabinets as well. And then on the other side of this framing over here, this is going to be a walk-in pantry. Now, with this walk-in pantry, this wall is planned on using a wood cladding, a slat wood cladding that the customer has picked out, that the client has picked out herself. Inside of here, we can actually see we'll end up with just a little bit of cabinetry, a little bit of space on this side here, right behind the bar area wall. But we'll also end up with a microwave, a countertop base cabinet over here with a microwave on top. And then for this small little nook area here, we are actually going to shorten this area up. So there is going to be a new wall built right inside of this area here that'll shorten it up. And that way we'll be able to put a couple of floating shelves inside of this area here, maybe about three floating shelves to go all the way up to the ceiling, or about 4. But that is what is going to end up happening with this small nook area of the pantry as well. Okay, so that is the overall changes. Again, so main changes from the plan that we had before is we are actually adding another cabinet here about 36 inches wide. They will actually be framing in one more additional non-load bearing wall, and we'll have the floating shelves inside of there. Also, the floating shelves that used to be on the range wall behind me will now flip over to the refrigerator wall and be placed right above the coffee area for those floating shelves there. So not many wall cabinets going inside of this kitchen, but we do have a couple of floating shelves, and we will have, the client will actually have a lot of space for the base cabinets as well. The dishwasher is planned to be the same, so we'll still keep the same dishwasher. The fridge is also going to be a 36-inch wide fridge, so it is going to be your standard fridge as well. And the range is actually going to be a 36-inch wide range. Now that is going to be a little bit wider than your typical range. For the hood, I always suggest going about 6 inches wider than your actual range. And that's because then you can raise your hood up a little bit higher and still capture everything that, all the gases, the oils, the steam coming from cooking. You can capture all of that with your range hood if you go just a little bit wider than what your actual range is. So in this home, since we don't have any cabinetry going on either side of this, and we do want this to be a nice focal point, it might be very nice to have a range hood that is just 6 inches wider than the actual range. So that would make the range hood 42-inch wide range hood instead of your 36-inch wide range hood, because your range itself, your stove itself, will be 36 inches wide. That is everything that I really have for in here. And then of course the bar area, but that is everything that we are looking at in here for right now. As you can see, we still have to pull a little bit of plumbing work for all the areas. The electrical is being pulled today, so we have a couple of electrical boxes. As far as the outlets for the electrical units, I did talk with the designer, and they want the outlets as close to the countertop as possible without it being a danger. So this is where those outlets end up being. We wouldn't want anybody to spill something on the countertops and have that spill go right into the outlets. So we don't want the outlets to be put directly on top of the countertops, but we will get them as close as possible so that they are a low profile outlet as well. Okay. Other than that, this is going to be the drawing one more time. And please feel free to press pause at any time. This is Cedric with Wright Cabinetry. My phone number is 847-651-7278 in case you have any questions. And this was video 1 of 2. Thank you and hope you have a great day.